Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Ing.
Hello, good evening.
So, we are grouped by our professor, and that we are gathered here so that we can brainstorm and discuss our ideas with regards to the significance of purposive communication in different aspects such as values, beliefs, practices, and culture. So, to introduce myself, I am Luis Alfonso Dañez.
I am Alile Joy Ornopia.
My name is Jarette Luis Ordoñez.
My name is Mary Joy Patricia T. Gacula.
My name is Abigail Vasquez.
I'm Hsien Marasigan.
And I am Lorenzo Caday.
Okay, okay. So, to start this discussion, I will volunteer myself to express my opinions about this topic. So, when it comes to the significance of purposive communication in the field of culture, learning the course itself pretty much raises our cultural awareness and sensitivity towards the people or audience that we are talking to. Upon learning purposive communication, we develop our communicative competence by implementing different methods of communication that is not too offensive nor vague for the audience and their corresponding cultural backgrounds. We cannot deny the fact that our world has different cultural backgrounds. So sometimes what is normal to us can be actually offensive to other people who have different cultural backgrounds. Also, when there is a difference in the cultural background, cultural barriers will occur, such as language differences or even lack of knowledge towards the other culture. Without purposive communication, the messages that we convey to the other people might cause discrimination, and that is one thing that we have to prevent when communicating with one another. So, in general, purposive communication in real life situations can help us make and choose what effective and appropriate communication skills we need to do when we are in a multicultural audience. Doing this lessens the occurrence of cultural discrimination, misunderstanding, or even miscommunication among the target audience because we have background knowledge about the different cultural backgrounds of our audience. And that is my take on uh, this cultural aspect.
I agree on what you said, Luis. With respect to values, purposive communication helps us to acquire qualities that will make us be effective communicators who strive to understand and respect other communicators before we evaluate and give feedback. Developing excellent communication skills is extremely important to a person's future career as employers consider communication skills among the most requested competencies. With different societies and the diversity of values, purposive communication will also help to eliminate communication barriers between individuals and help one to become a responsible thinker and an effective communicator and decision maker.
Yes. I totally agree with you, Ali. And in addition to that, values can be associated in purposive communication because the way people speak could potentially affect how other people receive the message. Am I right? Yes.
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 Right, right. Our way of speaking shows politeness to the person we are talking to, especially when we are talking to an elderly. And furthermore, I think that mutual understanding in communicating starts by having respect to each other and not forcing his or her own ideals onto other participants of the conversation.
Mm, okay.
I totally agree with you, Jared. And um, for next is the how significant. What is the significance of purposive communication in our beliefs? As we all know, every individual have a different set of beliefs. Even as a child, he or she can have different beliefs from their parents or a student from their professors. We have all our ways of thinking and our beliefs are based on how we look at the things based on our perspectives. In my opinion, the relation of purposive communication to having knowledge about different beliefs is very important because we know one's belief, we tend to respect it despite our differences, which will result to better communication and easier and respectful and to have a more comfortable communication with one another.
Mm.
Point well taken, Pat. Thank you for that. And in addition to that as well, belief is the attitude of accepting the certain thing that a certain thing is true. Like, what do we believe in life? What do we believe on how a person should communicate, and many more. It is something that we got to learn from the elders, from our family and friends, from our environment, and even on the things we try to discover and learn on our own. As we all know, all of us have different beliefs, and this can impact us regarding communication with one another. Like, for example, men and women have different perspectives in communicating. There are some statements that are normal for men to say, such as sexual jokes, but for women, these are inappropriate because of common beliefs that this is an impolite or rather improper communication. There are other areas to be considered as well, such as the topics that are appropriate to discuss with, the terminologies and vocabularies to be used, and the words and phrases to be said, and so much more to avoid misunderstandings. Knowing each other's beliefs in communicating can also help us to learn the differences between each other and to produce a better communication. That's all in my opinion. Thank you.
That's very nice to say, Abby. So, for my perspective, communication is a fundamental principle for human existence, for its collaboration that help us to understand each other. We have different kinds and ways on how we can deliver our messages in being productive and innovative. In terms of practices, there are some key points we need to remember for us to have an effective communication. One of them is be always relatable. Do not to go off the topic with your communicator and be always mindful on how you speak and talk for them to understand the message easier. In communication, the presence of listener is very important as the speaker. We receive their message, and this is when the communication starts. Another significant practice in this purposive communication is how we clearly express our message to the speaker.
So thank you for that, Marius. I totally agree with your perspective. So now that we have different thoughts in these aspects, I will be throwing my own on the significance of purposive communication when it comes to practice. So we all know that for communication to be efficient, it must be two-way. Both parties, the sender and the receiver, must be able to understand each other and not form what we call miscommunication. It will be better if we know the practices, especially here in the Philippines, with its numerous dialects found throughout its regions and islands. For example, I am from Pangasinan. I am currently in Pangasinan, and yes, I speak Pangasinan. One common practice, which is also a part of the culture, I guess, is how the Pangasinenses speak. It has this certain characteristic which denotes this strong accent when it comes to pronunciation, intonation, etc. Similar to the Ilocano and the Bisaya accent, if I'm not mistaken. The letter E as in egg, is pronounced as in Pangasinan. Example would be the word balag, B-A-L-E-G, which literally translates to huge or big, or in Filipino, malaki. So if you were to give this huge thanks to someone, you would say, balbalag ya pisasalamat ko ed sika. So balbalag ya pasasalamat ko ed sika roughly translates to big thanks from me to you. Knowing this small practice will surely make you communicate better with the Pangasinense. With the same thought, if we were to put this thought into consideration with other people who might have different dialects or may come from different places, or like it was mentioned, different cultures, trying to learn these practices will surely result into better communication. So for me, that is the significance of purposive communication when it comes to practice. So there are our thoughts on the four given aspects: culture, belief, values, and practices, and their significance to purposive communication. So, guys, thank you for your different ideas. I am very sure that this will help us on our individual reflection papers. Good luck on
Thank
writing
you.
that. So,
Yes.
thank you for listening.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Everyone.